All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about the psychology of romantic attraction. But forget everything you think you know from magazines or self-help books. This is something different. We're looking at two powerful and completely opposing schools of thought, and each one comes with a very serious warning for you. The first is a warning against being a fool, and the second, it's a warning against becoming a monster. So let's start with that first one, shall we? The warning against being made a fool of. In war and in love, weakness is fatal. Now, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some romantic poetry. This is the foundation of our first philosophy. It immediately reframes everything. It tells you that love isn't a gentle dance. It's a duel. It's a high-stakes game where understanding human psychology isn't just a nice little bonus. It is absolutely essential for your survival. Because in this view, being weak, being naive, isn't just a flaw, it's fatal. So welcome to the battlefield of love. That's the lens we're using right now. This philosophy argues that if you want to navigate romance, you have to stop thinking about it in terms of partnership and start thinking in terms of strategy, of power dynamics, of psychological warfare. Now, I know, it sounds incredibly grim, doesn't it? But the people who follow this, they would argue they're not being cynical. They'd say they are being realistic. They're looking at a harsh reality and refusing to look away. And here we get to the absolute core of this first warning. The reason people fail at attraction, according to this source, has nothing to do with how you look or how much money you have. No, the failure is one of perception. It's a fundamental blindness to the game that's being played all around you. It's about not understanding the real levers that create desire, the levers of emotion, imagination, and tension. And this blindness, you see, it makes a person predictable. And on this battlefield, predictability is the same as walking into the open without any cover. It's a fatal error. So what does this blindness look like in practice? Well, it looks like this. It's the person who gives away everything up front, all their time, all their attention, laying out all their feelings on the table. They think this constant generosity is proving their worth, right? That they're showing what a great partner they'd be. But this philosophy screams a warning. You are actually doing the opposite. You're devaluing yourself with every text, with every gift, with every eager confession. You've become an open book, and in doing so, you've killed all the mystery. You've eliminated the tension. You've ended the chase before it even began. And what happens then? Well, you stop being seen as a prize to be won, and you start being seen as a utility, a convenient resource to be used, and then, eventually, discarded. And you have to understand the consequences of this kind of psychological ignorance. They are severe. We're not just talking about getting rejected. No, it's much worse than that. According to this view, you are actively inviting exploitation. You're setting yourself up to be used. This path, the path of the nice guy who's totally transparent, this warning says it leads straight to a very specific kind of ruin. The ruin of being the one who provides comfort while someone else provides the excitement. And that leads us to the perfect and most painful archetype of this failure, the safe option. You know this person. Maybe you've even been this person. The one who offers all the comfort but none of the danger. All the loyalty, but none of the mystery. They become a placeholder, a temporary fix. They are the shoulder that gets cried on after a date with someone more exciting. They are the person who pays for the dinner, while the other person's heart and mind are somewhere else entirely. This philosophy warns that this is the ultimate trap. It's a role of pure utility, completely stripped of any real passion or desire. You're a human safety net. And who falls in love with a safety net? And this right here, is probably the starkest, most brutal warning in this entire philosophy. Just think about it. In history, in politics, a nation that shows weakness, that can't defend its borders, doesn't get pity. It gets conquered. It's seen as an opportunity. Well, this worldview applies that same cold logic to love. A person who is psychologically weak, who is too open, too predictable, they are seen as an opportunity. Not for conquest, but for use. That weakness creates a kind of vacuum, and human nature, in this grim view, abhors a vacuum. It will be filled, and it will be filled with exploitation. It's a truly brutal way of looking at human connection. So if you find yourself in this trap, is there a way out? According to this philosophy, yes. But it's not about being nicer or more generous. It's a cold, calculated strategy. It's the path back to power. Step 1. Control yourself first. Stop being so reactive. Master your own emotions before you even think about influencing someone else's. Step 2, reveal little. Don't be an open book. Maintain an aura of mystery. Make them wonder. Let their own imagination do most of the work for you. Step 3, actively create suspense and tension. That push and pull dynamic. Be available, then be scarce. Be warm, then be distant. keep them off balance. And finally, step 4, the ultimate goal. Make her chase you in her own thoughts. When you are living rent-free in their head, when they spend their days trying to figure you out, that's when you've captured their most valuable asset, their mental real estate. Okay, let's just pause for a breath here. We've gone deep into a very dark, very cynical view of human attraction. And before we go any further, we have to ask the big question. Is that it? Is that really the whole story? Is the human heart just a castle with walls to be broken down and a flag to be captured? Or could there be another way, another set of rules, and maybe a totally different kind of warning? Let's completely shift gears. We're leaving the battlefield behind. We're stepping into an artist's studio. Because this second philosophy isn't a manual for a general. It's a guide for an artist. And the warning here is completely different. It's not about being weak. It's about being careless. This view says that attraction is like a delicate flame. And you, through ignorance, through routine, through a lack of care, you can be the one who extinguishes it. The first key here is all about balance. It's the two-sided coin of proximity. On one side, you have presence, being there. It's absolutely crucial, right? It builds security, comfort, it lowers anxiety. But, and this is a huge but, constant, unrelenting presence can lead to something deadly, dull familiarity. On the other side of the coin, you have absence. And absence can be powerful. It reignites that spark, it makes someone miss you, it allows their mind to idealize you. But too much absence, that creates distance, anxiety, and mistrust. So the warning here is that you have to become a master of this dance. You have to know when to be close and when to give space. If you're always there, you become boring. If you're never there, you become a stranger. This idea of dull familiarity leads us straight to a really important psychological concept. It's called hedonic adaptation. It sounds complicated, but it's actually super simple. It's the official term for getting used to good things. You know how the first bite of a great dessert is amazing, but the 10th bite is just, okay, that's hedonic adaptation. In a relationship, it is the quiet, creeping death of the spark. It's the predictable Tuesday date night, the same conversations over and over. The routine that once felt so comforting and safe now suddenly feels like a trap. The warning here is about letting the magic die a slow death by monotony. So how do you fight back against this trap of familiarity? Well, you have to be conscious about it. You have to actively inject novelty and variety into the relationship. And look, we're not talking about huge, expensive gestures here. It's about shaking up the routine. Go to a new coffee shop, take a different route on your walk, try a new recipe together. But here's the most important part. Cultivate your own interests. Have your own life. When you are constantly growing as a person, learning new things, having your own experiences, you always have something new to bring back to the relationship. You remain a fascinating world to be explored, not a book they've already read 100 times. And this takes us to an even deeper level. You see, this philosophy argues that attraction isn't just about avoiding boredom. It's about inspiring admiration. People don't just fall in love with a person, they fall in love with an ideal that person seems to represent. Think about it. We are drawn to qualities like passion, courage, creativity, intelligence, nobility. The warning here is not to neglect this poetic side of yourself. This is not about putting on a fake persona, it's the total opposite. It's about becoming the best possible version of yourself, becoming the hero of your own story. Because when you do that, others can't help but be captivated by your narrative. And that idea of being captivated leads us to one of the most powerful, and I have to stress this, most dangerous psychological tools in all of romance: idealization. This is that magical process where we see someone as more perfect, more wonderful, more heroic than they actually are. It's a totally natural part of falling in love, but it is an incredibly fragile power, and it must be handled with extreme care. Back in the 19th century, the French author Stendhal gave this process a beautiful name. He called it crystallization. He came up with this amazing analogy. He said, imagine you take a bare, ugly tree branch and you toss it into a salt mine. If you go back and pull it out a few months later, it's not an ugly branch anymore. It's covered in a breathtaking web of sparkling salt crystals. It's a work of art. Well, Stendhal said that's exactly what our minds do when we start to fall in love. We take the real person, the ordinary branch, and our imagination coats them in all these beautiful, shimmering, imagined perfections. Suddenly, their every little quirk is charming. Their every word is profound. But here comes the big, flashing warning sign. This crystallization, as magical as it is a fantasy. It's an illusion that your own mind creates. And if the entire connection is built on that fragile, glittering surface, it is absolutely doomed to shatter the moment reality kicks in. This can lead to some of the worst heartbreak imaginable. Think of the Werther effect, this phenomenon named after a character who becomes so obsessed with an idealized version of a woman that it leads to total despair. So the ethical goal here, the goal of the psychological artist, is not to keep the illusion going forever. It's to use that initial magic as a bridge to a real, authentic connection. One that can survive and even thrive when all the sparkling crystals have melted away and you see each other for who you truly are, flaws and all.
So here we are. We've reached a crossroads. We've explored two very different worlds, haven't we? Two profoundly different philosophies, each with its own dire warning. You have the path of the strategist, and you have the path of the artist. One is about avoiding being used. The other is about avoiding causing harm or building something fake. Let's put them side by side and really see the choice we're facing.
Okay, let's just break this down. The first path, the Machiavellian, what's the goal? It's influence, it's control. The method? It's all about calculated mystery, creating tension, keeping them guessing. And the core warning that drives it all? A deep-seated fear of being seen as weak and getting used. Now look at the other side, the psychological artist. The goal isn't control, it's a deep, lasting connection. And the methods are totally different. Authenticity, novelty, and a fundamental respect for the other person. And the warning that guides them? It's a warning against being careless, against causing harm, against letting something beautiful die because you weren't paying attention. You know, when you boil it all down, maybe the difference is as simple as this. One path is looking for a subject that they can master. The other is looking for a partner that they can understand. In the end, both of these philosophies are born from the same truth. The human heart is a place of incredibly high stakes. There's a lot to lose. One is a warning about the excruciating pain of being powerless, of being used and discarded. The other is a warning about the moral damage that's done by being careless, of building something on an illusion that's destined to break someone's heart. So the question I want to leave you with is a very personal one. As you look at your own life and your own fears, which danger feels more real to you? The danger of being hurt or the danger of hurting someone else? And because of that, which warning will you choose to listen to?